They told me for years there was no money in podcasting. Well, they were all wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the Talking with Tarashuk podcast. My name is Will Tarashuk. That is T as in Thomas, A-R-A-S-H-U-K with a W-I-L-L right in front of it. And today I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the friend, the fan, everything in between. All good words for the one and only man from Canada, Mr. Fretz. Mr. Fretz, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Will. And you forgot science teacher, as you once claimed that I was.
Yeah, so that is the origin story that we have to tell, my friends. So for those who don't know, Mr. Fretz, real name is James, right? Fretz, I can call you James Fretz here.
Yeah, you can call him James. Yeah.
So James Fretz from Canada started out as a fan of the Kings of the Rings podcast, much like my guest from a few weeks ago, the one and only K Murphy. Fretz found our podcast somehow, ended up on one of our live streams, and all of a sudden Ricky was just like, we got a comment from a James Fretz. And I just went by Mr. Fretz. And I remember the joke was his name sounds like he is a science teacher. So from then on in, it's just, you can see it in his lower third. It's just Mr. Fretz. I don't ever call him James. It's always Mr. Fretz. So Fretzy, tell me the story from your perspective, like how you stumbled across the podcast, how you found yourself on a live stream, and how you got the courage to put a comment in and lead us here 4 years later.
Well, I think it was around one of the Summer Slams that were in Brooklyn. So that would have been 2016, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting the genius idea to start live tweeting and talking about wrestling during Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever show I happened to be watching at that point in time. And I found my follower count getting a little bit up there. I'm like, who is the Kings of the Rings podcast? And this was when Dusty Dave was a part of your crew. Shout out to Dusty Dave, by the way.
Shout out to Dave.
And I saw, now they're I was bored one night. I was off work, scrolling through Twitter, and what is live? Because I had Twitter for about 5 years at that point, and I still didn't know how to do it. Still kind of don't today, but I'm like, there's a live stream here, and it's these guys. So they're talking about whatever wrestling event was during that week, and thought, I'll shoot the shit in here for just a little bit. And lo and behold, a meme was born. I was going to go look back and see exactly what episode that was, but you named one after me in like 83, 84, something like that. And you guys are approaching 300 now, just about.
Yeah, we are pushing close to 300. So this was in, I believe it was Tarashuk Towers. There was that era of podcast.
It was.
Because I graduated from Hofstra 2017. So it was that summer, because Dave, Ricky, and I were in my bedroom of my house after college. So that was that summer. Must have been summer, fall, whenever it was. But it's always surreal to me, Fretz, the fact that people actually like the stuff I create. People actually listen to my podcast. It's not just like, my mom, my girlfriend, or my friends. So I guess, like, what was it? What was it about the three of us that made you stick around?
It had to be just your senses of humor, and you guys weren't just boringly, droningly talking about wrestling. Yeah. I had been a big fan of podcasts at that point for a couple of years, because I spent a couple of years doing night shifts at my job at a grocery store in town. And I thought, I need some time to kill the time, because the radio station we had on at work sucks ass. Like modern pop music, like at the time, like people like, Lord, no, not my forte. So I need what's going to make the time go by. So I discovered Talk is Jericho, the Attitude Era podcast. I'm like, these guys don't post enough. I need more content. Lo and behold, I found you guys through a wrestling podcast, but it was through following each other on Twitter. I don't know who did first. And I thought, this is going to do good. And just your humor, you guys not only cover it, but I love all the sidebergs, as you would coin, we do
coin them sidebergs. Sidebars.
And I even stuck with you guys after that, that work, if you will.
Okay, let's get into a little backstory on the work. I believe, Fretz, was it Saudi Arabia was the argument?
It had, I don't remember the context.
Or was it top tier talent?
It was somewhere between top tier talent and Saudi Arabia, but I know it's like you and Dave had a falling out.
Yeah, it might have been top tier talent. So the argument was in the wrestling world, the idea of, what is top tier talent, meaning like the best of the best, top of the card. And my argument was top tier talent is anyone who won the belts. The world championship is considered top tier talent. And the argument got pretty heated pretty quickly, like it usually does. But this one just tipped me over the edge. Because I believe Dave said something like, I had like a racist point of view, and I just flipped my lids, like, how fucking dare you, essentially. And to the point where I was like, listen, we're done. I stopped the podcast early, stopped the recording, turned off Skype, shut my computer. I was like, I'm not doing this right now. And so that was all real. That was all 100% real. But then, the next day we got in our group chat, we figured it out. Like we pretty much just hashed it out and, called a spade, buried a hatchet. Yeah. But then I was just like, what if we make an angle out of this? And just like next week, I'm not on. Like Ricky cuts this vicious promo on me. Like I respond on Twitter. It's like the whole shebang, and it's just all fake. It's just all fake. And then it honestly, it backfired. It was probably a bad idea in hindsight, but I stick by it. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I'll say this. I didn't like it because I was getting to know you guys a little bit more through that and through the live streams, and I considered you friends and part of my lives. And when I saw that was ending so abruptly over something, okay, racism, not petty, but top tier talent, I'm just like, are you guys fucking kidding me right now?
Oh, incredibly petty. It's an incredibly petty thing to argue about, for sure.
I think I sent either the KOTR Twitter account or Ricky just like a pissed off like tirade DM, and Ricky, the level-headed one that Ricky is, just is like, okay, now like Fretz, just think about it like this, or hold on a second, dude, because he's called me off the ledge a couple of times, so he's a pretty good soundboard when it comes to that. And I wasn't ready to stop listening because I'm like, man, this podcast is so damn good. I can't stop listening, but what's going to happen with Dusty Dave? Like, what if they get a third person? Then in my mind, I'm like, what if they ask me? No, I'm not doing it then. Because back then I wasn't even thinking about podcasting. Here I am, 3 years later? Yeah. And I'm doing it.
It's funny, Fretz, I mentioned I actually read that DM. I actually read that DM exchange. Because Ricky, like after that happened, Ricky put it in our group chat on like me and Dave and Ricky's Facebook group chat. It's like, oh, Fretz bought it hook, line, and sinker. So like behind the scenes, we were laughing a lot. We were laughing a lot. We're like, all right, should we tell him? I was like, no, dude. I put my foot down. I was like, we're not telling anybody until it all comes out. And Nicki Skywalker still hasn't talked to me since, because like she texted me separately, like feeling really bad. And, like I had to play it up. I didn't play it up. I didn't think I played it up too hard, but I might have. But she was just like, if this is all the work, I'm gonna fucking kill you and be really mad. And she meant it. But I was just like, okay, as long as I don't straight up lie to her. If she straight up said, "Is this a work?" I would have been like, yeah, I wouldn't have lied. But I managed to tiptoe around it, so I didn't actually lie. But yeah, she was pissed. She was really pissed. And you were really pissed. I'm not gonna lie, Fretz. That one hurt. I was like, oh, he's really mad. We might lose Fretz. I was like, oh, shit. That's when I thought, okay, we fucked up.
Yeah, but all is forgiven. I mean, we buried the hatchet. And, I was talking to even Nate about this as well. Like, even when it was going on and after the fact, and we're just like, those freaking guys. And same with me. I haven't heard from Nicki in a long time myself. We used to have a group chat with like me and her and like who was, I can't think of her name right now. It's gonna drive me nuts. Miss Lovebat, whatever her Twitter handle is.
Christina. Right?
No, I'm not Chris. I've never talked to Christina. No, but like Kayla and
those.
Yeah, I still talk to those ones, but yeah, not Nicki. Eventually, when it went out as work, just like you bastards. You even played up, was it Wade at like an Evolve show? And we sat like in between you and
dude. So that was a happy accident. because Wade bought it hook, line, and sinker too. Because we actually bought the tickets to Evolve in Queens, New York at La Boom. Shout out to La Boom. Like weeks and weeks and weeks before. So that was just a happy accident where like we were like, fuck, like what are we gonna do? So Ricky, like me and Ricky are texting each other, like he was like, listen, here's what we gotta do. Like we gotta play it up at the show. So we go to the show and like me, Ricky, and Dave were all there. Like before Wade even got there. Like, you know, like nothing ever happened because it was all cool. But like once Wade got there, Ricky just flipped a switch and I felt the shade. I was like, damn, he's really mad at me.
Oh, no.
So I almost worked myself into a shoot at Evolve. We made it so like, it was like Ricky, Wade, Dave, and then me. So like we just didn't look at each other, didn't really talk to each other. Like after the show, you can get like a picture with the wrestlers. I just left. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And Wade bought it hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, man, that was fun. It was just all good fun. But I understand why people were mad. So if you were one of them listening to this, you know, I'm sorry, but get over it.
It was what 3 years ago. Rachel was the person that I was thinking of, by the way. So
that's right.
Yeah. We still shout out to all those people. They're good folks.
We have a great fan base, dude. We have a great fan base.
You do. It's been ever growing. I'm really proud of everything that you've been, and now you're doing what? How many different podcasts are you doing now, Will?
2. I'm sticking it to 2. Occasionally a third. So my 3 podcasts, obviously Kings of the Rings, where we talk about wrestling. This one where I talk about whatever. It's a variety show where I talk to anyone I find interesting. And I consider Fretz my first fan. Like Kings of the Rings first fan was Danny, but Fretz is very personal to me. I don't know why I claim you as my own.
Well, thank you.
And then the other one is the Ambiguous Podcast Solution, where I pretty much do what I'm doing here, except for podcasts. It's more of a networking tool, business tool. But this one in Kings of the Rings is where I put most of my time and effort into.
Okay, so you had American Minutes there for a bit, didn't you?
We did. So American Minutes, what happened with American Minutes was with Nash. And Nash is a friend from school as well as a business partner. And I had this idea in college because Nash is incredibly smart. He is one of the most logical and intelligent people I've ever met in my entire life. And from college, I was like, this guy needs a podcast. He just needs someone to do it with him. So my original idea for American Minutes was you put Nash on one end of the table. You put someone else at the other end of the table who can be like extreme, quote unquote. Like we had another friend who was very liberal, very left-leaning. So I was like, okay, that'd be a great one. Just put Nash in the middle. I'm a moderator. Just debate, right? I had another friend who's super Catholic, like very anti-abortion and very Republican. I was like, that'd be amazing because Nash would just run circles around him too. So I wanted to kind of do that and just bring on recurring guests back and forth and just kind of have Nash pretty much prove them all stupid. But I couldn't get that third person. So eventually I convinced Nash to do just me and him, where originally it was You Mad Bro, whereas pretty much we talk about anything the internet's mad about, so a lot of politics, right? Or whatever Logan Paul did this week, essentially, right? So, and then that originally rebranded into American Mints because we did so much politics. It was just all politics. Okay, let's just change the name of the show. But then it got to a point where, you know, if I want to be a business owner, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be whatever it is I want to be, even in a full-time capacity somewhere else, you know, I can't really have these controversial opinions, at least not be so openly brazen about them. So it's just for optics, PR, and just how draining it was. We put that shit to a close.
Okay. Because I liked You Mad Bro at first. It was kind of funny, like going through just whatever on the internet. I thought it was entertaining.
It was fun, dude. It was a great show. It was a great idea. It was just we drifted off and found something else we wanted to talk to. Now one day we're gonna bring it back. When we're so successful, it just doesn't even matter. But who knows if that'll ever happen. But Fretz, you started a podcast. Fretzlemania. That's why I have your lower third as Fretzlemania podcast. So tell me about.
We're here on the show.
There it is. Like why you got a podcast, what got you into a podcast, and how Fretzmania was born.
Well, it was mostly from listening to you guys, to Rant with Ant, the Fourth Wall, everyone that's has been or is to this day affiliated with Wrestle Addict Radio.
Yeah.
So it was like you guys, Fourth Wall. I'm trying to think of the old Smash This podcast, and Mr. Warren Hayes on YouTube, and all these people are doing that, and I'm like, I like wrestling. I don't have any friends who watch wrestling other than the ones that I interact with on social media, but I'm passionate about retro stuff. I love some current stuff. Like, I am so excited for Wrestlemania. It's going to be bollocks, but it's just going to be so entertaining. Like, when you have a lot of celebrities involved, it's going to be something else. So I thought, I'm going to do this. I love fantasy rebooking. So even people like, the Adam Blampier videos and all that. So I had a word note with, all right, let's see, what do I want a fantasy book? I started off with WrestleMania 15, the first WrestleMania I ever watched on pay-per-view. Like, okay. And I went back and listened to my first show, and I was anxious, nervous, very, very monotone, very boring. I would book Stone Cold versus The Rock versus Mick Foley, just straight up there. And you didn't get Fretz. Like, you didn't get my personality. Like, I'm somewhat of an outgoing guy to a point where I'm like, okay, I've had enough people today. I want to go home. But I'm also incredibly socially awkward, which is why I'm kind of glad I haven't done WrestleMania live with a bunch of you folks yet, because you'll have enough of me at some point.
Oh, we're going to. Like, Mr. Fretz, it is legitimately a goal of Ricky and Kay's and mine, is to get you down to a show where we can all go to together. You'll stay at one of our houses, all right? We all live crazy lives, but that is definitely a goal. So wrestling in Canada, how often do you go to live events, if ever? Because wrestling isn't in Canada that often. You're near Toronto. How far are you from Toronto?
I'm about a couple hours, I think. Let's see.
Where's Toronto now? Where's the nearest major city where WWE would go to? Like,
Kitchener, and that's about 2 hours from here.
Jesus. Okay.
And I haven't been to a live wrestling event in 19 years.
Wow.
The last one I went to was a house show in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, which is like 40 minutes from where I grew up. And the main event was Scott Steiner versus Oshawa's own Test. The main event.
Whoa. Okay.
La Resistance made their debut on that show, coming out to the Finnish national anthem. I mean, yeah, as Nikolai Volkov came out to that at WrestleMania X7. What are you doing? But, I had just turned 19. I thought, I'll go to a wrestling show. It was fun. I went to another house show 3 days after the Montreal Screwjob. It was I was 13 years old. I was a mark. I didn't know shit. Like, this is awkward because everyone around me is like, where's Bret Hart? What's going to happen to Bret Hart? Something. Kid behind me holding up, we want Bret sign. I'm like, I'm sorry to break your heart, bud, but he's going to WCW.
He's not going to be here.
Owen was there, wrestled Steve Austin in a semi-main event, so that was a pretty fun time.
Damn, so that's how long ago it was. Wow. Damn.
Yeah. And one random house show at a Canada Day celebration in my hometown of Cannington, hometown of NHLer Rick McLeish, if anyone knows that name. And it was headlined by former WWF talent Jason Sensation. The guy that dressed up like Owen Hart.
I love Jason Sensation. He did all the voices.
He did them that day too. I spent the entire day talking to him about Owen Hart. And this was July 2000. So Kurt Angle had just broken out, and he had just came out of his shell a little bit and became like dorky Kurt Angle. We talked about how much we love Kurt and how, when is he going to be WWF champion? This guy is so awesome. And every time he gets the camera, I just go, it's true. Does the same thing. But I'm aching for a live wrestling show, especially like up here in Ontario, we're just about to lift the mask mandates, which I am looking forward to. I hate masks, the burning hot passion, and that's an understatement, but I do understand safety, COVID, but
yeah,
I'm aching to get something.
I also hate the masks. Very happy. I only have to wear them on public transport, which I think Biden just extended for another 30 days. So it'll be like mid-April is when I'm going to relook at it. I get it. Like New York City subways, I don't mind wearing a mask. It's the cities are disgusting. Like on the bus or dirty transit, it drives me nuts, but I get it. So what was COVID like for you up in Canada? Because recently, the truckers kind of went crazy, and then the government went even crazier. But I don't know. You can avoid this if you want. If you want to talk about Canadian politics, I just want to know so much about Canada in general. But what was COVID like for you? Like in your hometown, in your nearest community, like what break it down for me.
Well, I live in Sauble Beach. It is one of the top tourist beaches in actually all of Canada. I think it's second only to either Grand Bend or Wasaga, which are both, I think, on Lake Huron as well as Sauble. Just a couple hours west of Toronto, but during the off season, it's a small town, maybe like 2,000-3,000 people at most. And then during the summer, we get, depends on the weekend, we can get like 100,000 people here at the beach. It's happening. And at the start of the pandemic, it's just a lot of us up here, we were just like kind of scared, afraid. We didn't know what this was, but for me, it was business as usual. Again, I work at a grocery store. It's ran by family, so I work for family. But at the start of that, I put in more hours at that store than I ever did, because we get, some people were temporarily leaving because they were scared, or some people just left because they had other jobs. And I have to put in some time here. I have to go help out my family and do what I can. So for a good chunk, it was business as usual. You would get, there used to be a certain group of people every few months would be the ones that would get vilified by the media or by just people in general. First off, it was like, okay, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was literally 2 years ago this week.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit, Fretz. That's an epiphany and a half right there. Sunday will be the 2-year anniversary of the big, well, actually it'll be the next Wednesday would be that Monday would be that Monday of 2 years ago when the lockdown officially began, March 16th. Damn.
Yep.
That's wild.
I remember it like it was yesterday, because at my job, I used to work one overnight shift a week, because that's what our delivery schedule was on a Tuesday evening. So I'd start at about 10, work until 6:30 a.m. And when I went to work, I still remember Rudy Gobert, an NBA player. He had diagnosed with COVID, and he went like touched all the microphones around,
thinking it was a joke, dude.
And then literally, I wake up the next day, and it's like, oh, hey, there might not be hockey tonight. I'm like, oh man, am I gonna miss the Leafs game? Son of a I go to bed. I go to about 7:30. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna crack a beer, go to bed, wake up in the afternoon. Next thing I know, just the world is topsy-turvy. Like I think I had some missed texts from some of my family. And I'm like, go turn on Sports Center. All sports canceled. All right. So for us, I sideberg there myself, there was people that were vilified throughout this entire thing. First off, it was tourists. Us being a tourist beach town, we're like, that person doesn't look like from around here. Should they be here? Should we confront? No, mind your fucking business. Don't.
Amen to that.
Then it was the people that don't wear masks. Like, if I see someone not wearing a mask, I don't say a damn thing. I mind my business, because A, it's not in the job description, and B, I don't want to get punched in the face. and then they vilified people who didn't do this. I'm like, I have 4 words that I live by, and I think that anyone could just benefit, and it's just to each their own.
Live and let live, buddy. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I mean, when it comes to masks, the regular cloth masks, obviously the bandanas don't do anything. The surgical masks really only protect others if the person themselves have COVID. So like, if you wear that blue mask, it's not going to prevent anything from getting into you, but it's going to prevent you from spreading it to others. So like, yeah, if you're symptomatic or if you have it, wear a mask. Then it's the N95s, which actually are very, very effective. But Fretz, did you know this? So like, if you have a beard, like masks don't do anything because it just goes right under the beard.
Well, I've been growing this tash since I call it my COVID stash. And then
COVID stash, dude, I had a COVID stash. Remember my COVID stash?
I remember.
Yeah,
we did a podcast because Ricky was in the hospital.
You bastard! You shared that image of my birthday with me and the mustache. And I was like, that's such a good rib. It's such a good rib.
Kingdom Hearts poster in the background.
Yeah,
too.
dude,
Awesome,
I still got it. The banners in my bedroom.
Nice.
I still got it. I'm keeping that tapestry forever. I love that thing. I bought Kingdom Hearts on the PC, even though I didn't need to. I played that game thousands of times. I bought it one more time, the whole set on the PC. But Fretz, I love the mustache, man. Not many people can pull off mustaches. My dad is one of them. He's been rocking the same stash since the 80s.
Nice.
There's this actor in Jersey City who I follow and used to work with very briefly, who also rocks a great mustache. And then there's you rocking a great mustache. So tell me about your mustache. It's such a weird question. I
would just start doing them the odd time. I went to, I'll have some context here. I went to a Bible college to pursue. I initially pursued a career in youth ministry. And when I was up getting robed, getting my degree, even though the dean of students, God bless him, said, this is, James Fretz would like to pursue a career in church and camp. In my mind, I'm like, no, I don't. I changed my mind, but that's a different story for a different time.
Wait. I want that story now. So you went to Bible school?
Bible college in Kitchener, Emmanuel.
So it's called Bible college?
Yeah, there was quite a few decent ones I'm not going to say these are decent because just look these ones up. You have Bob Jones University in Carolina. There's Pensacola Christian College, but they're so conservative to the point where they have pink and blue sidewalks for guys and girls. This is Pensacola, I think. And you can't be in the opposite gender's dorm anytime.
Okay.
At Emmanuel, we had like certain days of the week where it could be, if the door to the hall is open, you can have a boy or a girl in there in your room with all the lights on and the door wide open. And you have to announce like guy when you come out on the girls' floor. It was weird, but
really weird. And this is this like a Catholic college, or is this is there do business majors go there, or is it just people who are looking to go into the Orthodoxy?
It's people. I'm not Catholic. Like I am more Protestant than I used to. I was in the Baptist church for a while, but I'm like, okay. There's a lot of things in like Baptist and mainline Protestantism that I vehemently disagree with. Like I'm pro-choice. I'm an LGBTQ ally, and again, the whole to each their own thing, right? So I interned at a church for a couple of years, and it was mostly good. Although they made me sign a piece of paper that said, hey, while you're working with us, no drinking. Although I did in front of the pastor, who told me to say nothing because we were on it's like a guy's camping trip going out in the woods and, being a man. And he's like, James, I'm going to let you know something right now. I hope I'm not incriminating this guy. I'm not saying his name or the church, but it's like, hey, these guys are going to offer you a beer at the campfire. You can have it. I won't say a damn thing, and you won't say anything either. So it was youth ministry. So I was looking to be a youth pastor, and just like regular politics, church politics can be ugly.
Yeah, if not even uglier. So tell me about what was classics. This is a new revelation for me. We can call you Father Fretz. So what was Reverend Fretz? So what was, I guess, the schooling, the education, what did you learn? What was it like?
Well, we had non-elective and elective courses. Initially I was thinking anywhere between a youth pastor to an addictions counselor. I thought about maybe expanding to another school to do counseling, but then after a couple of psych courses and a couple of counseling courses that I almost bombed, I'm like, okay, maybe not this. But we had elective ones like, okay, Old Testament and New Testament introduction, year 1, you take those. Year 2 was theology, which is the study of God. And then you had to take theology electives. And if you're going for the same degree as me or a pastoral, good Lord, the people that had to take Greek, that's a whole other kettle of fish. And eventually it works towards your degree, but you also have to do a co-op or an internship. Co-op or an internship as well. Yeah, so you put in these many hours and you report back to that. And my youth ministry manager was a fantastic fellow. He was the kind of guy that would take us out to Boston Pizza instead of class one week. And we would just hang out. And it was funny, but back on the alcohol thing, because this was a college outing, you couldn't drink. I'm using the air quotes thing here for audio listeners. And it was like that. But when it was just a casual thing, I could go for a beer in Bible college, even when I did my degree. Like the co-op, good Lord.
Damn.
But you had that, and I was on campus for 3 of the 4 years that I was there. Like my 4th year, I got an apartment with a friend of mine, and it was funny. We packed up our last stuff from residence to go move to downtown Kitchener. The first thing we did was we drove right to the liquor store and unpacked the house, sat on the porch, and just cracked one open.
So how do you go from there to being a science teacher?
Well, for one thing, Will, I told you I almost bombed high school science twice.
Or was it chemistry? I think I thought you taught chemistry. I could see like in a lab coat with like the goggles on and be like Excelsior. But okay, so seriously though, so you go to school for this, you get a degree. What makes you pivot and go do something completely different?
It was just through a lot of things. It was during the internship. I kind of realized that, well, I'm not a good public speaker. And then here I am doing a podcaster. I'm not a good preacher. Like me, I would just open the Bible and be like, okay, Sermon on the Mount. Jesus says this, and that was it. I wasn't good at getting creative. Like if you've ever been to a youth group, you'd get like those youth pastors who can just engage the audience and start telling stories about their life and then apply the Bible to that. And I'm thinking, I can't do this. And then I started getting a job. I got a job through my brother, and I started working with him. And then time went on, and I'm like, oh, I don't mind this job at all. This is a good job. This is a good gig. I'm making good money. I live 3 doors down from the store, so I guess you could say it's my kryptonite rim shot. And eventually my niece and nephew came into the picture, and I thought, well, I want to be in their lives more because we all live pretty close by, and I haven't been to church in a while. And because there are some things that the church are obsessed with, like they're obsessed with end times theology, like the rapture. Okay. The rapture, I said that word in theology class, and my professor stopped me dead in my tracks and said, okay, next class, we're going to talk about how rapture is a load of crap. And he spent an hour and a half blasting Harold Camping. Remember that guy that said 2011, the world's going to end. Oh, wait, I mean, this time the world's going to end.
And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of bullshitters out there.
Oh yeah. And they're getting all the money. And then it's like, okay, I don't like how the church has been treating LGBTQ community. Cause like, I used to think like them. I'll take this time to apologize for thinking like them in the past. I had to write a paper about homosexuality in college. And back then I'll say then this is not the way I feel now.
Right. Yeah. You grew and developed as a human being, Fretz. That's just the natural order of life. You know, that happens all the time. So don't feel bad or guilty for being right now. For ended up don't feel bad or guilty for ending up in the correct position. I'll put it that way.
It's like, I still love the Lord. I still try to love my neighbors.
Yeah.
And to me, the anything other than that is just white noise.
Are you still religious at all? Do you still go to church or do anything in terms of your faith?
Well, I haven't been to church in had to be 8 years now, just because Sunday morning, like ever since my sister-in-law got pregnant with my nephew, he'll be turning 8 in November. Holy crap. I was trained up just how to open the store on the front end. So I have to open up, just like tills, cashier stuff, do the payroll, make sure all the right stuff gets sent out for Sunday morning. And then I have the afternoon off.
Yeah.
So, and there's a church right near me, but they also don't do night services because some of the ones I used to go to did. Well, they don't have an evening service. Well, I don't go. Yeah, I would like to, but it's like, I'm at work. I'm helping out my family every Sunday, and to me, that's like that's a constant.
It's more important. I think the last time we went to church is when someone died, and then for the funeral, and the next time I'm going to church will be my brother's wedding in October. It's my thing on it because I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
Like classic, standard American Catholicism. Now, America is a whole bunch of different religions, and we have Protestants, we have Baptists, we got the whole the Judaism, we got the whole 9 yards. It's America.
Mm-hmm.
I got baptized, confirmed, whatever, communion, the whole 9 yards, and I definitely believe in God. I believe in the idea of God. I think it's ignorant and foolish to believe there's not something, whether it's a God, being, spirit, whatever, that's more powerful than us out there. There's definitely something we can consider a God out there. Did they create the universe and Adam and Eve? No, probably not. But I think religion and spirituality can be very comforting to people. And I generally think that the lack of religion beliefs in society, American society as a whole, is detrimental. Because you got to extract the morals, the values, the teachings of religion, specifically Catholicism, as well as all the other religions, because they're all very similar. But don't listen directly to the words of the Bible or the teachings of a church, because a church is an institution, right? That's where I get up. That's my problem with religion. It's the institution of religion, whereas opposed to the story of like Cain and Abel, right? Or the story of, take your pick. The one where God wanted that Abraham to kill his son or whatever, and just to prove his loyalty. Like, there's morals and things you can extract from that to use in your everyday life. Like Adam and Eve, temptation, right? Like, don't screw up what's already in paradise, stuff like that. So there's stuff you can pull from that, but it's the institution, and then pretty much people fucked it all up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is to be in a good way, but it's a crutch.
Yeah.
But in a good way, and I'm immediately drawn to a Christian band, a well-known Christian band, 1,000 Foot Crutch. That's what just really came to my mind right now, because 1,000 feet high. Oh, okay, I get it. And with that, I used to listen to a lot of Christian music. There was a point in time where I'm like, okay, I'm just, because my then best friend did. It's like, I'm just going to lob all my non-Christian CDs out. I don't have use for them. They're not edifying is the word that he would use, encouraging. But then through the whole reopening my mind process, I'm like, okay, garbage in, garbage out. I mean, does that apply for this? I mean, because I've always loved Metallica, Van Halen, AC/DC, all these bands, classic bands. But there are some, even to this day, I respect, and one of them is Five Iron Frenzy. They're a ska band that they used to run in the Christian circles, but they would also sing a little bit about themes that would ruffle the feathers of churches today, like what is it, like white Christian nationalism, or like the slaughter of the natives and homosexuality and all these themes. And there are now 2 members in that band who are atheists, or 2. I think there's 2 of them now. And one of them is a preacher. So and they're like, yeah, we love each other and we love music. It doesn't matter. Like, we don't play the Christian circles anymore. And that's one thing that I admire about bands like that.
Interesting. Do you play any instruments? You ever play any music?
Oh God, no.
No? Come on, Fretz. Okay,
No.
if you, in another life, what instrument would you want to be master at?
Guitar, obviously.
Guitar? Okay, yeah. Well, I guess I'm a drummer, Fretz. I was hoping maybe.
I respect, you know what? Unlike some musical types out there, I respect the drummer. I mean, Alex Van Halen and like, who's the one-armed dude from Def Leppard? Like,
Dude,
come
I
on.
always,
Like,
I,
how?
always, I always forget there was a one-armed drummer from Def Leppard. He just used extra pedals to get the other, pretty much seem like the other hand. The best drummer of all time, without hands down, is Travis Barker. Like, easy. I mean, if you want to go old school, you can go as far back as the guy who died in the plane, with Buddy Holly.
Richie Valens?
The day the music died. He was one of the drummers died in that plane accident.
Okay.
Buddy Rich, maybe, I forget his name. I have to look
There was
him up.
Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper. Those are the ones I know that died that day. But also, like, you know, I'd be a bad Canadian if I didn't say Neil Peart, although I think Rush is kind of overrated.
I was just gonna say Neil Peart. Yeah, of course. So he just died a few years ago too.
He did, yeah.
Mm. Well, Canadian celebrities always surprises me, like how many people are celebrities, like Canadian. Like Jinder Mahal, he's Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, I hold Jinder Mahal close to my heart, man. Don't hinder the Jinder. Everyone's just like, oh, something. I'll read Twitter, then it's like half the time it's probably an extremely offensive remark. I'm like, dude's from Calgary. Like, yeah. Seriously.
And for those who don't know, Jinder Mahal is an Indian wrestler who just happened to be born in Canada. So he's Canadian.
Yeah, I think he's affiliated. I don't know if he's affiliated with the Singh family, like Tiger Ali Singh, Tiger Jeet Singh. That, or he just, no, I don't know. I have a feeling that they're connected somehow.
I don't know.
Like they're all from Alberta, so
interesting. That's really interesting. So who's your favorite Canadian celebrity, Fretz? Give me a few.
Canadian celebrity. Well, some of them are mostly hockey players, but you know, if I were to go non-athlete, I'd have to go with Alex Trebek.
He's Canadian?
I think he was Canadian, yeah.
Was he? I'm gonna Google that. I don't believe you. But that's a great. Why Alex Trebek?
I mean, I watched Jeopardy every night.
Oh shit, he is Canadian. He was born in Greater Sudbury,
Ontario, north of here, just not too far off of Lake Superior.
Huh. Good for him.
Yeah. Sudbury, home of the Giant Nickel and Jeopardy.
That's a great pick. It's a great pick.
Then you get some like hockey players like, you know, Wendell Clark, Ty Domi, Doug Gilmour.
Yeah.
Anyone here? I'm trying to think of any Canadian celebrities that aren't. But I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Harts. Like Owen Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time, but for the longest time it was Bret. But it was posthumously through like shoot interviews and hearing about his ribs and watching some of his matches, including some of his from Japan with like Jushin Liger. My God, it turned into Owen.
So the Hart family? How big are the Harts in Canada to people who don't watch wrestling? Like, are they still like there's people in Memphis who don't know or watch wrestling, but they know Jerry the King Lawler. Like, is it the same thing in Canada? People who just don't or aren't in the wrestling bubble? Are the Harts like a household named outside of the wrestling community in Canada?
I can't speak for Ontario, but I think they would be. Like I've been watching wrestling since about 94. And back then, like people were telling me about Bret Hart, and I'm just like, I don't know who Bret Hart. I kind of know who like the Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, and the Ultimate Warrior were, but through them I discovered Bret. Bret is decently well known back then. I don't know about today because, you know, Bret hasn't been active in wrestling since the late 90s.
Right.
But even like him having a stroke in 2002 while he was riding his bike, that made mainstream news. Like Owen Hart falling to his death made mainstream news because of their connection to Canada.
Of course. All right. And you're a big hockey fan. You're fucking Maple Leafs and your Blue Jays. Is it hard being a fan of teams that just aren't good?
Yes. The Maple Leafs game is... Dude, the Maple Leafs game is going on as we speak, And I could turn on, like, my TV's right here. I could turn it on and find out. But yeah, the Coyotes are winning 2-0, so I don't need to throw that crap on anyways. Yeah, the Leafs, the last time they got so close was being one game away from the finals in 2002 and overtime against the Carolina Hurricanes. Friggin' Rod Brindamore, just breaking my heart. And then there's every playoff for the past 5 years. So it's difficult. The Jays, like, I'm not as passionate about baseball as I am about hockey. Like, to be honest, I don't like hockey as much as I used to. It's like some of the rules have changed. You know, like I'm old school. Like I'm a Don Cherry guy. So
Right.
I like, you know, not the outspoken in certain ways like he is, but I like my scrapping. I like my old time hockey. So, you know, the Broad Street Bullies, the Clark, like Wendell Clark, Taitomi, like all these people. I like the fighting. I like the physicality in hockey.
Did hockey originate in Canada? Like, is hockey a native Canadian sport, or is it something like Canada adopted? I don't know the origins of hockey.
I don't know that either, but our national sport is actually lacrosse. Like, hockey's our favorite sport by far.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna go like, because like baseball has to be like the American one, right?
It's America's pastime. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna also Google this. I'm gonna guess it's America's national sport.
Or football, like, well, American football.
I was gonna say like countries. That's Turkey. I don't need to care about Turkey. United States baseball. Yeah, so national sport is baseball, but by far the most popular sport is football. Like by far, it's football.
I know. I scroll through a lot of TikTok, so I, especially during the NFL season, go Chiefs. I know this.
Yeah.
It's
okay. Fretzles Pretzels.
Oh,
tell me about your pretzels, man.
Well, I cooking is one of my other favorite things I like to do. I like to experiment in the kitchen. I like just to grab something or look something up online. I'm like, I'm gonna make that. So I thought one day, like, I had a hankering for just like a good, big, soft pretzel. And I didn't want to go all the way to the Owen Sound Attack game up here, Ontario Hockey League, to go find out. Well, what's the easiest way to do it? Because I'm not good at actually baking bread, doing dough, yeast, all that shit. So Pillsbury pizza dough. Okay, let's unroll that. Let's see what I can do here. And I made them a few times. Then I found the way to master them. So I'll give you the steps here. Anyone who wants to make Fretzles Pretzels, by all means, just buy a tub of Pillsbury pizza dough, unroll it, roll them into balls. You get the baking soda, boil water with baking soda. That's how you get that golden brown on even a bag of like rolled gold pretzels. Egg wash, sea salt, and I have my secret weapon, everything bagel spice, like my favorite topping for it. 425 Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is for the States. 15 minutes in the oven.
We use Fahrenheit. Baking, we do Fahrenheit.
Yeah, we do. Well, I do too, because that's just the default setting on my oven. You pop it in the oven, 425 for 15 minutes, and you have Fretzles Pretzels. I don't know where the name came about. I remember always hearing about Wetzel's Pretzels in the States. Just, I thought of a quote from the show.
Wetzel's Pretzels are amazing, for the record.
I think it was like just, it was mentioned in passing on How I Met Your Mother by Robin. And I'm just like, Wetzel's Pretzels. I'm like, what? Fretzels? Like, boom, there it is. I still want to get like a logo made for that. So Ricky, let's talk about that someday, dude. Because that would be great. And I love baking. I love cooking. Like even today, I was just doing some random stuff like garlic chicken and garlic bread out of a pizza crust. Just easy.
Yeah, I was gonna cook tonight, but I got off of work, got a headache. I went to the store to buy some milk for the recipe I didn't end up cooking. And the next thing you know, I had like 45 minutes before the show was going to start recording this. So I was like, well, noodles it is. Quick thing of ramen noodles. I'll cook tomorrow. I'll cook on Sunday or Monday. And then I cook a few times a week. I do my best.
Yeah, I'm a meal planner guy because depending on the week, say like tomorrow I work until 8, and then Saturday and Sunday I work 7:30 in the morning. So I'll meal plan for those days, but any other one I'm like, oh, I'll just make something. I'll put it in the crock pot and I have 5 meals just like that. Boom.
Oh, crock pots. I've been telling my girlfriend she's got to get a crock pot because they're a lifesaver. She also likes to meal prep. And now I was like, dude, just get a crock pot. You throw some water. You just make a stew. There's still a bunch of beef and vegetables in there. And then you're good to go.
Easy. And my sister-in-law sells Epicure, so it makes it even better. I don't know if you guys have that down there. It's kind of like Avon, but with food.
No, I don't know. The United States is a big place. And it's so goddamn different. Are the territories? Is that what they're called in Canada? Territories?
Yeah, Northwest Territories, Yukon, and Nunavut.
Right. Is it like Ontario is a province?
Province.
Let's call them province.
Yeah, it's a province.
So it's
yes.
Provinces, territories. That's the closest thing you guys got to what we would call states.
Yes. I don't know the story about why the North is called territories, but Nunavut, it used to be just part of Northwest Territories until they figured there was some kind of dividing line, or maybe they wanted to be a thing like Quebec wanting to separate from Canada in 95, which would be strange. They'd be their own country in the middle of another country, yet Alaska is attached to the Yukon up here. So
yeah, isn't that weird? They bought it from Russia, right? Like imagine that. So do the provinces have different laws like states do? It's like, is there state laws, or is it only federal Canadian law and local law?
I'm not very familiar with what laws are different up here, honestly, Will, but I know that by province, like, well, COVID wise, our provinces were different. Like Quebec, they were like straight up hardcore. They had a curfew, like an 8 p.m., 9 p.m. curfew. And if you were out on the streets at curfew, like I was watching all these TikToks, like, oh, police are out patrolling, just chasing you into your home, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's
or someone
weird, man.
Someone would blare like the Purge horn, and they'd be like, "We're all gonna die." Ontario, where like Doug Ford is a moron, a bigger moron than his brother was, but he didn't go that far.
So Americans have this kind of, I don't know what it is about them, but they think everything they do matters to the rest of the world. Like They think of the American news cycle as the global news cycle. So, and in Canada, from a Canadian's perspective, you guys got your own shit going on, your own politics. No, it was reversed a few weeks ago with that whole trucker rally. But I guess in your community, and I guess Canadians in general, how in tune are you really with the American news cycle?
Not in the slightest. Like I always kept track, well, mostly through you guys or through other, like half of my friends that I have in wrestling are all in the States, like, you guys and Ant and Nate and all these people. And it's just through interactions with them or just watching things on social media. Like I'm a very observant person. Like you can't tell, like when it comes to anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm watching my friends who are in a relationship. I haven't been in one in a long time. I don't intend to be in one for a long time. But if the time comes, I'm like, okay, I remember what to do, what not to do. So let's keep my mental notes up here. Right. And yeah, we don't keep track of it. And if anything, we have our version of what's like the talk show hosts that make fun of things in politics, like Trevor Noah, like you guys have.
Late night. Yeah.
Or Stephen Colbert. Like I loved Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, Colbert is a late show.
Who was the guy
or the Tonight Show?
I'm trying to think. Was it Jon Stewart?
Jon Stewart was the Daily Show.
Yes, the guy that came out at SummerSlam on John Cena.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why? But we have our own like political humor up here. It's called This Hour Has 22 Minutes and Rick Mercer. So anytime I'm watching that and it references like making fun of Biden or Trump or something like that, that's what we get. We don't keep track of it up here, but I live in a very conservative part of Ontario. Right. Very, very redneck. I mean, I'm one. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a redneck. I grew up in like surrounded by farms. So it's very that kind of mentality up here. So, and some of it can be negative if you know what I mean, based on who they vote for.
Right. Right. So what do you think of Americans? I'm not asking you like general Canadian. This is you, Mr. Fretz, in particular. What you think of like America, our culture, our society, our people, and what the fuck we're doing in the world. It's like, what is your opinion on the United States? It's a loaded question.
Okay. So first off, like most of the Americans that I've came across are decent people.
Yeah.
They're good.
I agree with that. Most of us are decent people.
Hardworking, honest, and if I can offer one, it could be a criticism because the last time I went,
by all means.
So I've been to the States a bunch of times. Like I went to Six Flags Darien Lake one year for a Christian music festival called Kingdom Bound. I saw Skillet. They're a band that, well, if you follow them, they recently made some pretty negative comments towards people who are deconstructing their faith. And I took very much offense to that. So no love to them. But you also saw like your other Christian weird bands. But me and my friend drove from where I am now to San Diego once too. So my criticism is this was especially evident right after 9/11 that you're patriotic, but holy shit, tone it down just a little bit. Like the post 9/11 patriotism, like Spider-Man running in front of the flag. Okay, first movie, I clapped. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Second movie, third movie, holy fuck, move on. I mean, most tragic day in American history, dude. I can tell you exactly what I did on that day, but the patriotism's a bit much. But now with the trucker rally, we're starting to get that up here. So we all got to tone it down.
I'm not gonna lie, Mr. Fretz. Your point is 100% valid where I need to tone it down, but 9/11 is a terrible example to use because
my apologies.
Because that is something that Americans need more of. That post 9/11, because that's when we were unified as a people.
Yes.
Right?
I admire that.
So your sentiment is correct. The whole rah-rah America needs to be toned down, but also on the flip side, the doom and gloom America also needs to be toned down.
Yes.
So I love it because I think that's a very accurate portrayal of Americans, dude. Just tone it the fuck down, man. Live and let live.
That's right. I'll never forget. It was 0506. I was at Darien Lake, and like every night they had an extravagant fireworks display, and I love them. Like Canada Day last year, I was missing the fireworks because of COVID lockdown-y whatever bullshit up here. And I was watching it, and then like, okay, the Canadian flag goes off, so I'm cheering because Canada. And then you had what's that? Who's it? Was it Toby Keith that did that? Like, I'm proud to be an American.
Probably, it sounds like him.
Yeah, so it's a country song. Like I like a little bit of country, but Garth Brooks is where I'll draw the line. But real, that's cool. Yeah, everyone's going nuts. I mean, when I went to that Oshawa House show, this was May of 2003. So I think you guys would have just been going into Afghanistan or been there for a bit.
I believe I'm going to be so wrong about this. I should know this. I believe Iraq might have been 03. No, okay. Iraq was probably earlier. Afghanistan was probably 03. Well, let me Google it real quick.
Well, we played at that house show. We did play the U.S. national anthem. And we're like, it got a pop. I mean, we were. I mean, for one thing, Canadians are known as is we're known as being polite.
Yes.
Well, to a point, because even we have our breaking points.
All right, so we invaded Afghanistan on October 7th, 2001. So we went in real quick.
Yeah, you did.
And let me look up Iraq. That was March 20th, 2003 to May 1st, 2003. So we just finished up in Iraq when the story happened.
Yeah, you might have had some people there. I had a cousin that was in the military, and he was over there. I think he was in Afghanistan, but he wasn't a soldier. I think he was I'm gonna probably botch this, but an inspector or something. I don't know what exactly it was, but he was doing that, and we did it for you guys. So like, okay, like we were polite, yay. We didn't start a USA chant, but yay.
All right, Fretz, that's all I got for you, man. We already spoke for a quick hour, and man, it goes by so fast, which just means I'm sure there's a lot we can get into, which means we just got to bring you back and do it all over again. Thank you so much for doing this, Fretz. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Will. I've been really looking forward to this. I hope to do it again with you sometime.
We've said we're going to do it. We finally did it. But Fretz, as always, the last question goes to the guests. I was glad to do this with K. Murphy, so K. Murphy, forgive me. I'll bring you back again. But if there's anything you've ever wanted to ask me, now is your chance.
You really put me on the spot here.
You can always plead the fifth, which in America means you have to answer.
Yeah. If you asked me this in advance, I would. But get my mind now. What made you think that I was a science teacher or a chemistry teacher?
Dude, I have no idea. I didn't even see you. I didn't see a picture of you. I heard the name Mr. Fretz, and my brain just went science teacher. Like half the times, especially on Kings of the Rings, because I don't do any prep for that show. I just watch wrestling. I just hop in and just start talking. I don't know what I'm going to say until 5 minutes, it's already out of my mouth. Like 5 minutes later, I speak. I'm just like, why did I say that? I don't know, but I did it. So it's what felt right at the time. It's just what my gut feeling was telling me that he's a science teacher.
No, okay. Yeah, well, I only took science in grade 9 and 10. I almost bombed them because I came from an old curriculum. I only needed 2 sciences. Like, that's it. I'm done with this shit. I'm out.
All right. And we're going to be out. But Mr. Fretz, the last thing I got to do is let you plug your shit. So anything you want to plug, your podcast, your socials, Resurrect Radio, anything you want, my friend, the floor is yours.
All right, so you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Yes, I actually do that now at Fretzlemania. That's Fretzle Mania. My podcast is Fretzlemania Podcast, where I just talk about mostly retro wrestling. Like at the week that we're recording this, I am doing WrestleMania 6 with an old friend I went to high school with, who found the show through another friend of mine from high school, and he went to the same small town high school as me. Now he's a musician, but we can talk about that another day too. Yep. And it's retro wrestling. I've been going through the brand split era on SmackDown. So I'm just about to hit Judgment Day 2002. And that's what I've been doing lately. I went through the Invasion angle. Oh my gosh, that was awful. And it's, a lot of retro stuff, man.
Gotta love it. And my name, of course, is Will Tarashuk. This has been a Talkin' with Tarashuk podcast. Thank you to my guest, Mr. Fretz, a good friend, a phenomenal human being, and so happy that one day I'm going to be able to meet him and buy him a beer and sit down and shoot the shit like we've been doing right now on a Talkin' with Tarashuk podcast. You're going to find more of me talking shit with my friends or people, authors, anyone I've talked to, baseball people, I don't know, go to my feed. You know where it is, ambiguouspodcastsolutions.com, or anywhere podcasts can be found. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, anywhere we can be found. Help my podcast get seen by the world. And if you want to be a guest on this podcast, just make me go, ooh, that's interesting. If you make me go, ooh, I'll book you. It's that simple. It really is. So shoot your shot to my email, will@apspodcast.com. That's apspodcast.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. So next time we'll be back with, I don't know. We'll see. I already have them booked. We're going to keep it a secret. Shh, don't tell anyone.